Ollie and Steven's 2013-14 NBA Preview Show. Number 27.
Hello and welcome back to Ollie and Steven's NBA Previews 2013-2014 Previews number 27, the Charlotte Bobcats, Steven.
The Charlotte Bobcats, or soon to be called once again the Charlotte Hornets, but for now they're still the Bobcats.
I will be calling them the Bobbly Hornets. That's what I'm going to call them for the rest of the season. I've decided they will be the Hornets next year. We know this. They, for some reason, remain the Bobcats. I think it's because they got those new jerseys that just say Cats, which I find quite cool. So I'm going to be calling them the Bobbly Horny Cats. What did I call them before? The Horny Bobby Cats. No, that doesn't sound right.
That name's going to change throughout the season. You're not going to remember from one show to the next what you call them. I'd like our listeners to note down every single version of that name that Ollie uses through the season.
So the Hornets have the worst owner in the NBA.
That's a bit harsh, but yeah, he's right up there.
The Bobcats have the worst owner in the NBA. He also happens to run the team as a general manager.
Yeah, I mean, he hasn't moved well into that position, unfortunately. He was a bit of a better player.
A bit of a better player is the understatement of the year. He's the worst general manager / owner that I think's been in a long time. He can't pick basketball players. He isn't good at it.
At least one good thing, though, Kwame Brown's not a part of this team.
That is the best thing about the Bobcats season. We're going through some dreadful teams. Okay, let's capture the mindset of the franchise's fan base with one word, Stephen. What is yours?
I'm going to cheat and go 2, and that's in transition.
Okay, we could hyphen that if you want. I'll allow that. If it's a hyphen, I'll let you off. I'm going to go with... I don't really care. No one in Charlotte watches basketball that's professional. I know that Duke and North Carolina are close and not actually in Charlotte. That's where they're going to watch basketball. They want to see like Parker and these guys, Jabari Parker, actually play, not hope of getting them in the draft lottery when Michael Jordan will then draft some kid you've never heard of who's a second round talent. Is what happens in Charlotte. They don't care about professional basketball.
No, it's a collegiate basketball home, and obviously that's where, funny enough, Michael Jordan played his collegiate basketball in North Carolina. So, he's probably still the most famous person in that particular area. I think it's good to see the Bobcats go back to being the Hornets. It's how I remember when they first come in the league with Larry Johnson and Alonzo Mourning. And, I'd prefer them to have that. I've never been a particular fan of the Bobcats.
Let's check out what they did last summer. Al Jefferson's the biggest addition, free agency. Cody Zeller in the draft. I like Cody Zeller. I
like Cody Zeller. People
said he was overdrafted at 4, but it was a draft where there weren't too many good guys in it. If you were going for out-and-out talent, go Ben McLemore, go Victor Oladipo. If you're going for a guy that's going to fit that you actually need at the time, they didn't need a guard at the time. They got the massive Ben Gordon deal. They got other guys that could play the shooting guard. They got Henderson there as well. I liked the pick of Cody Zeller.
Yeah, I like the pick of Cody Zeller. I think Cody Zeller and him bringing in Al Jefferson, they've certainly shored up their front court. I think that's good moves for the Bobcats to make. We sit here and joke about how Michael Jordan doesn't make good decisions, but I think Al Jefferson may very well be the best player that the Bobcats have had in their history.
He's right up there, and I like Steve Clifford coming in as well. He's been through the Van Gundy school. I don't think Michael Jordan picks coaches that well.
No.
But Clifford has a shot. This team has some talent, essentially.
Yeah, I mean, I've said to you about it before. I think you could make a case for this Bobcats team to perform quite well. When I say quite well, I mean get to maybe 25, 30 wins if you could get as the ceiling. For this team. I don't necessarily think they're going to get to that particular point, but you could make cases of that. When you look at guys like a Gerald Henderson and Al Jefferson, if Cody Zeller does well as a rookie, then you've got a few nice pieces in there. And obviously Kemba Walker has been probably the best player over the recent years. So I think it's when you get away from that starting five is when you're really going to have problems. They've got no depth.
Okay, let's look at that rotation then, Stephen. I like the starting five, like you said. The backcourt is good but not great, and it worries me. I think Kemba Walker can be really good in this league. Gerald Henderson, I think he's just solid. He's averaging 15 points a night. He's averaging 4 rebounds and occasional assist and steal, decent defender. I don't trust that backcourt enough yet.
No, it's a solid backcourt. I think you're waiting for one of those two guys to take over the game and then be able to deliver some wins for the Bobcats. At the moment, we're not quite there, and that's the reason why I've ranked them down at 27. You can see where they might be able to win games, but then you can also see where they could also lose games as well. The other thing, of course, when you're always talking about a starting five being reasonable and not much else apart from that, is the fact that then if they do get some injuries, then you really begin to wonder where Charlotte are going to go. And if my gut feeling would be is if they get like a couple of injuries along the way, then they'll be tanking because they won't want to progress forward and then hope that Michael Jordan makes the right decision come draft time. Don't get me wrong, they're going to be a lottery team. They're going to have a nice pick in the draft. We all know that how deep this particular draft is, and they're going to benefit from that. But maybe they might think, well, maybe I want to move up into the upper echelon of that draft rather than getting myself a real superstar rather than just a guy who's a borderline all-star.
Yeah, he'll pick the wrong guy, though. It doesn't matter at the end of the day, Charlotte. I'll let you know now. Let's go to my favourite section. Do 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 do. The force be with you.
Jedi Ollie.
Jedi Ollie in town. That's what we like, Steven. Jedi Ollie comes here to make some bold predictions for us. Michael Kidd Gilchrist will make the leap. He is an athletic guy who I writ off about 20 seconds before we started recording this thing. He will make the leap this year. Michael Jordan. I'm going to start with Jalen Rose in this one. He will make one performance for the Charlotte Bobcat Hornets this year.
I'm not convinced. I saw the guy playing college. I don't think he's adjusted to the NBA as well as some people would like. I think, don't get me wrong, he's like a lot of parts in this Charlotte lineup. He's solid. And that's what you can say about him. He is solid. He's not outstanding. And maybe it might take a guy like Al Jefferson to raise some of these guys' profiles and get them performing at a higher level.
You seem to have missed me saying Michael Jordan will make an appearance this year. He'll play one game.
No, I'm glossing over that. I cannot even entertain the idea.
Look, if he comes back for one game, even 2 minutes, he will sell every single Bobcat jersey ever. And they turn into the Hornets next year. All these Bobcat jerseys are going to be redundant. They need to shift them somehow. Put Jordan on the back. The logo.
It's not going to happen.
It's going to happen.
It's not going to happen.
50 years of age, one game.
I know that there's all been these things about... See, you've got me talking about it now, and I refuse to talk about it. He is over 50, and I know there's been these things that have been mentioned about, even at 50, Michael Jordan can still play in the NBA. He can't. It's over.
He could still play, just not at that level, obviously. He could still play. He's not going to be a bum.
No, he's not going to be a bum, don't get me wrong, but...
You said he couldn't play.
He's not going to play.
Trying to get you in trouble with Michael Jordan.
No.
Michael Jeffrey Jordan is going to fall out of you, Steven. I want to send this to him. You've written him off. It's like how you write off Kobe and you write off LeBron. These guys are going to come back to haunt you. Haunt every word you say.
I tell you what, if that's all that's haunting me when I sleep, I've done well.
Michael Jordan haunting you is not something you want. The guy's an angry, vicious fella. Let's get to Steven's 24-second prediction clock. You have 24 seconds to predict what's going to happen with everything to do with the Charlotte Hornets Bobcats season. 24 seconds from your first word. Edwards, go.
Gerald Henderson is going to have a breakout year. He's going to be the best player on the Bobcats this season. Al Jefferson is not going to be the player that the Bobcats actually think he's going to be, and they'll regret that contract. Ben Gordon will be traded. They will find a partner from him, and the Bobcats will not end up with 25 wins.
I like that. 21 seconds. Well done, you. Well done, you. Ben Gordon will get dealt. There's no doubt about it. That $30 million expiring contract will appeal to someone who is tanking the season. They'll want that contract.
Yeah, I mean, this contract is definitely tradable for my liking, and the guy can still shoot. I mean, we talked about it briefly before we came on. This guy is still a solid shooter around the league, and if you're going to need a guy that can maybe come off the bench for 15 minutes a game, he can light up the scoreboard. He can also shoot you out of games, and that's what you've always got to be a bit aware of. It's kind of like the chance the Bulls took on Nate Robinson last year. Nate
Do not
Robinson
put
can
it
win
past.
some games, and he can also lose some games.
Do not put it past Michael Jordan to trade him to Houston for pieces he doesn't need. Just saying that. That's all I'll say. He may go and get Jeremy Lin for no good reason. There's something he might do.
I tell you what, in all fairness, if you're looking to try and maybe bring in a guy...
Lin and a Seek for Gordon's expiring, and maybe... Who else do they want out of that? Take someone else they need. They've got 2 first-round draft picks next year. Help on them if you want.
I think Omir Ashik is a potential good shout. I think Houston at some point, I think, will maybe, not to move on to Houston, but it may look to go away from the Twin Towers.
Yeah, they're going to surround Howard with shooters. It's going to be like Orlando all over again. They got Harden. It's going to be raining threes and stuff. It's going to be fun to watch. I'm going to enjoy watching Houston. All right, let's go to Destination City. Destination unknown. The city today.
Destination City.
Charlotte. Steven, is there anything for us other to say than a big fat zero? Who wants to go to Charlotte?
If you're going to go to Charlotte, you're going to be watching collegiate basketball. You're not going to be watching the NBA team there.
Now, this is a ranking 1 out of 10 on the desirability of us 2 English fellas going out to that city in America for an extended break. And it's from 1 to 10, and I'm giving it a 0. There is no reason for me to go to Charlotte.
I'm giving it a 3.
It's very kind of you. You just want free stuff.
Only if it's free collegiate basketball stuff when it comes to this team.
Come back for episode 26, the countdown. Number 26 on Stephen Edwards' power rankings. Who's going to be? I don't know. I actually do know. See you then.
Thanks for downloading Ollie and Steven's 2013-14 NBA preview show. Please continue to check out the First Take UK podcast.